Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge, and welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. Down in the sanctuary today, I've got one of my favorite shirts on that says "Make Space for Others," and we've got 99 Problems, but a Pitch Ain't One coming up at 3:30. I'm sorry. So if you want to pitch, there's a link in the Facebook page, and if you want to watch, it's on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also want to tell you that this weekend we've got volunteers coming in. I know a lot of you have been itching to get back into the Fledge and see what's been going on. So if you'd like to come and do a couple projects with us, we're open all weekend. We're going to have food and drink and all that great stuff. So let's get to our guest because I'm super excited about this. This is our new friend, Chris. How you doing, Chris?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm good. So what you been doing? Where are you sitting at right now? Is that your office?
Yeah, I'm sitting out here in the boatyard in Grand Ledge, sitting in my office. So,
yeah. So in the background there, that's a model of a boat. Is that what you told me earlier?
Yeah, I'm working on this new boat out here. Haven't quite figured out where I'm going to put it, whether it's going to go to Grand Rapids or over in Lansing yet. Maybe one and then the other. Who knows?
Yeah. So let's get into you a little bit. Where were you born and raised, and where'd you go to school, and how did you become a captain of a riverboat?
Well, me personally, I'm a Grand Ledge native my whole life. My folks built their house out here on the Grand River in, I'm going to say, the 1970s. And so the river ran through the backyard where I grew up, and probably spent too much time out there, but I've been doing the boat thing my whole life. I'm second generation in the family. Went through Grand Ledge schools and very positive experience there. And then I did a few years at community college and was at LCC and was going to transfer to MSU. And then basically my father passed away, had some medical conditions for about a year and a half, and then ultimately had a heart attack. So I kind of stepped in and took over the family business, and that was about a decade ago now, but keeping it all going.
Yeah, well, sorry to hear about your father. I know it's been a decade, but it doesn't always get easier, right?
No, but time goes. Time heals all wounds, right? Isn't that what they say?
That is what they say. So Grand Ledge, real quick. I lived out there for about 20 years on Jefferson. Mm-hmm. Were you on the Jefferson side?
No, we were a little farther up the river. Well, our office is on Jefferson, where I'm at right now. We're just past Fitzgerald Park. Yeah. But where I grew up is a little farther up there, kind of by Hayes, Willow Ridge area on the river.
Yeah, okay. I love that river. I always admired the backyards that went down to the river and how cool that would have been to grow up like that.
I love boating of all sizes, and I mean that from kayaking all the way up to ships, and I'm talking big ships. But I love kayaking, and that's a pretty well hidden secret. It's getting a little more well known out here, but the rivers are wonderful. You put in at Delta Mills, they're really doing a great job putting these kayak launches in along the river in good stretches where it's like, you want to go out for 2 hours, maybe not a whole day trip. And so they've got these good increments of launch points for getting in and out of the river pretty easily.
Yeah, Grand Ledge put a nice one in a few years ago, right? Now I can't remember that park.
There's JC Park, boat ramp at Grand Ledge. They got one up the river at where the big corner on Willow is. They just finished that one, and then up in Delta Mills. And then, of course, you can put in North Lansing and stop at any one of those on the way down the river. So
yeah. and that, kayaking in that area and being able to see the ledges on both sides and maybe some rock climbers and all of that is just beautiful. So.
Grand Ledge has got the most scenic stretch of the river in Lower Michigan. I mean, you can't get that without going up across the Mackinac Bridge. Essentially, it's beautiful. I love it. I still live in Grand Ledge. I've never left. I'm probably going to be here for entirely too long, but
Yeah.
that's what it is. So,
speaking of up north, I just got back from Drummond Island, and you take a ferry from the east side of the Upper Peninsula over to Drummond Island, and those big, huge boats, these tankers that go. Well, are they called tankers?
Well, you got freighters that run the Great Lakes.
Freighters. That's the word I was looking for. You ever driven one of those, or do I use the word drive?
Well, pilot, captain. There's different. Okay, so in an airplane, you got an airplane pilot, and on a boat, you have a captain, and the captain doesn't always drive the boat. And that's kind of a common misconception. A lot of times you'll have, as you get into ships, you have a helmsman, which will do the steering of the boat. The captain is responsible for everything happening on the boat. Not that he can't, and generally he has all of the background necessary to operate the boat entirely. And ultimately it's his responsibility, but oftentimes he'll assign steering duties to a helmsman. So,
yeah. So have you ever, captained one of those big freighters?
Oh, that is a career unto itself. And if you go down that career path, it's a good paying job. It really is. For someone that wants to go an alternative to a 4-year degree, you can get a 2-year degree from the Maritime Academy in Traverse City. You still got to, cut your teeth in the industry. They're not going to give a greenhorn the keys to a multi-million-dollar freighter out there, but you work your way up, and within a few years you're making really good money. And conversely, I'm more of a business owner, entrepreneur. While I have my captain's license, one of these guys. Well, I have one of these. I find I get far. I enjoy boating, but I also get an enjoyment from the entrepreneurial aspect of running a business and growing a business. So that's where I spend my time.
Well, we'll jump over to that in 1 second. But how did you get your license or passport or?
Well, yeah, it looks like a passport except it's red instead of blue. But basically you accumulate time on a boat. So every day that you're on a boat, it goes towards that experience, and it's rated by the size boat, and then you have to take testing progressively with that experience. So there is a blue collar way, the same way you have tradesmen that would be a journeyman to a master to right up the food chain. But it's a pretty big food chain in the maritime industry, and you can kind of shortcut the licensing aspect with a 2-year college degree, or you can literally from the day you're 16 just accumulate those hours and go in and take the tests and go all the way up to unlimited. So
so I'm riding the ferry back. We were pedestrians once because I wanted to go visit somebody and over in Detour. And I was just thinking, how do these guys learn how to do this? And it's, I know how to drive like a speedboat and dock it properly and all of that, but that ferry just seems overwhelming. And then you've got these freighters that, the one that turns sideways in the Cyan, whatever canal.
Oh yeah, the St. Mary's River up in there. That North Channel is absolutely gorgeous. That is a hidden gem in Michigan.
Yeah, well, that's funny because we said that about you yesterday, and your riverboats. That if you haven't, talking to the crowd right now, if you've never had this experience, it is, to me, it's amazing that. One, Lansing even has one, because I don't know, I just didn't expect that Lansing would have a riverboat. But yeah, I think what you and your family have done is amazing. Would you mind telling us a little bit of the story? You told me about the canoes, maybe as an origin.
Sure. Um, well, I won't get. How much time do we have here? So I don't want to
Well,
get too far off in
we're
the
going to
weeds.
shoot for about 30 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. If you're a Lansing native, you may or may not remember the Metro Ice Arena, which is right next to where the Lansing Mall is today. And my folks were doing, I mean, it was a 5,000 seat arena, and there was ice skating and a semi-pro hockey team, the Lansing Lancers. And my dad would do rock and roll concerts as like an event promoter type thing in the evenings there. And turned into a contract dispute with the hockey team. Long story short, he walked away from that business and had to start over. Well, this sailboat right there behind me is a picture. My dad and my grandfather were sailing on Lake Michigan, and my dad had kind of just thrown in the towel on that business. My grandfather, what are you going to do with your life, son? You can't just give up, blah blah blah. My dad, being the practical, he had kind of a practical joker aspect to him, and well, I'll rent canoes, type thing. So as a joke, my dad bought a half a dozen canoes and went over to Potter Park Zoo and running. Lo and behold, people came down and started renting them, and then a half a dozen led to 150 at one point. And so all these people were, the 70s were different, but generally speaking, the people were sending their kids out canoeing, and all the parents were standing around, and my dad looking around. We could do something for the parents here, and a lot of them were trying to get a picture, but they couldn't really get a picture of the kid out in the river. So we found an old barge and fixed it up and made it look like a paddle boat, and that was a big hit. And it was almost less work dealing with one boat with 50 people on it than dealing with 100 canoes. So one boat led to two boats, led to a little bigger boat and a little bigger boat, and before you know it, we've got the largest passenger boat in the state. The Detroit Princess holds 1,900 people. Um, but kind of the American dream, it just grew the business.
Yeah.
So
I've gone to, like, I think it's called Tunica or something in Mississippi, where
mhm.
you can either sit at the dock and gamble, or you can go out on the river and gamble. Is And that's because of something with international waters, or
Well, there's two things. You'll get the international stuff a lot in Florida, where you get on the boat, but you got to wait until they get, I think it's like 12 miles off the coast, and
yep.
then you're in international waters. Then you can do the gambling. The Mississippi River was an entirely different thing because they went kind of back and forth, and there was no onshore casinos in a lot of these states. You had Vegas and you had some tribal casinos, but they kind of figured out a loophole with the riverboats where it was like, well, if you're in the river, you're not technically in the state's jurisdiction, and you're not in the other state's jurisdiction. So then there was about a dozen licenses, well, probably more than that, up and down the Mississippi River. And that's how our Detroit Princess came to be. And after it actually came from Lake Charles down in Louisiana, which is kind of in that neck of the woods. And after running the casino boats for X many years, they passed legislation, and basically all of them built casinos on shore or docked the boats permanently. And there's a long story. There's actually a whole book written about it called A Fistful of Deuces. Or no, I'm sorry, A Fistful of Kings. The Fistful of Deuces is a book idea for a whole nother thing of all the hurdles we've had. But Fistful of Kings, and it is a good read, and I'd recommend it. And that's specifically about the Detroit Princess before we acquired it. And
Oh,
but
nice.
yeah,
So on a river, it's like Eagle. Everything's legal in Eagle, right? Is that the phrase
sure.
from your friends up there?
Well,
Uh,
it had, yeah,
so that's a very entrepreneurial thing, to be standing there on the shore, seeing the parents. They've got a problem. He comes up with a solution, and there you go. You're growing and accelerating and expanding. How many, when you took over, did you have all of these boats, or have you been growing, or?
the entrepreneur. My father was quite the entrepreneur, and I have a streak of that in myself as well. Just as a sidetrack here for a half a second, when my father was younger, he was paper boy out in East Lansing, and then When he went into college, ran a speakeasy that no, never mind. I didn't say that. But ran, at one point he had delivery pizza didn't exist, and they didn't have dinner on campus in the dorms in the evenings, and on Sunday nights. So he kind of pioneered delivery pizza. He had 12 stores, and it's called Sub Villa, and he was in East Lansing, and Ann Arbor. And Tom Monahan, which Domino's started in Michigan, he only had 5. And the two of them got in this price war. And finally, my dad had had enough of dealing with working till 4 o'clock in the morning and sold the pizza restaurants. And then he went on to the ice arena, and the boats kind of went hand in hand. My family actually pioneered indoor sun tanning at the same time, and it was great because it was one's winter season and one's summer season, so the two went together very well. And at one point we had 52 tanning salons in Michigan, and then we moved away from that in the 80s, in the ice arena and a number of other businesses, but like all the boats were closed during the pandemic. So I shifted into bottling hand sanitizer. I bottled 150,000 bottles of hand sanitizer, and we were distributing, we went all over Ohio State through Costco. I mean, we did so it's like, I don't know, it runs in the family, I guess. And I get a huge amount of fulfillment personally, or just from making something from nothing.
Yeah. Is that the part of entrepreneurialism you like? Is that you're a creator every day?
Yeah, I think there is a big part of that, of just like building a better mousetrap. There's a creationism aspect of it, of like building something from nothing. That's really fun. But then there's also the like tinkering with just, oh, if we change this around, and then down the line it just gets better and better and better, and seeing those compounding results of just like how a little thing here can make it 100 times better down the line.
Do you treat that like a set of experiments that you do, where you kind of collect data, or your gut at least? And, how formal do you do that?
Well, so the boats have grown over the years. I kind of took over, and there was 3 boats. I added a 4th one this last year, up north in Petoskey. But I very much, there's an analytical aspect that I absolutely love. Literally, if you don't have Google Analytics for your website, I don't care what size you are, you should do that. It's free. And, everybody's trying to sell you stuff. There's sharks out there, and media and advertising and everything else. But how do you measure that? That is one of the persistent questions I have. It's like, oh, we think you need $5,000 worth of advertising this week to saturate the market, or, everybody's got their opinion. Nobody backs it up. And that's one of the beautiful things, like with Facebook and Google Analytics and stuff nowadays, where you can measure that, and you can go, hey, I spent this much. Not only I spent X on advertising and I got X much traffic, but now with the digital stuff, it's like, I got this many views, I got this many clicks, I got this many dollars in purchases. I can do a direct correlation between spending X many dollars generates X many dollars in sales. I mean, if you're, and part of, maybe I'm just analytically driven, but I mean, if you're not doing that, and it's not easy too, because it's like impossible to do that with traditional media. We've seen it a little bit, but it seems like the waters are real muddy to me in the last 5 years. It used to be real clear. It's not as clear as it is now. I mean, the whole media landscape shifted a lot in the last 5 years, but.
So it might have been easier when people could tear a coupon out of the newspaper and bring it to you, and you can kind of track it that way. But I love you talking data and entrepreneurialism. I thought we were going to talk about greasy, broken down engines or something.
Well, it's under my fingernails, I promise you. My hands are all cut up. I've been trying to get the Michigan Princess remodeled. It just turned 30 years old, and we're doing some TLC on the boat that's been long overdue. And it's not done yet, but a couple more weeks she'll be up and running. And the other 3 boats are all going. In fact, my phone was buzzing right now from one of the other boats coming into dock from the lunch cruise today. So
that sounds urgent. Do you need to take that?
Oh, no.
Okay.
That's another thing too that I found as you grow, and I'm sure a lot of people deal with this, but you got to figure out where to set boundaries in your business between business and personal. But then also it's like this. I have a rule with all of my staff or everybody for that matter. It's like if you call me 3 times in a row within like 5 minutes, I will drop whatever I'm doing. I don't care. It's $1 million meeting. I will walk out of it and answer the phone. But the boat better be sinking. That's what I
Yeah.
tell people. But um, sometimes I'll get 2 calls and then I'll wait and I don't get the third call. But I stay in pretty good communication with all my staff. So
I love this boundary. I'm telling everybody today about it. If I don't answer and you call 3 times in a row, then I'll answer.
yeah, it works pretty well. So
Um, so, do you? Oh wait, no. 30 years. Dawn Haddad. I saw her
yes,
post. Yes, I actually have the note to remember that, and I'm sorry. Congratulations on the Michigan Princess being 30 years.
well, thank you, thank you.
Um,
I'm 33. I grew up on the boat. There, I know every square inch of that thing, and it's overdue, and we're it's so exciting. I mean, like I think of all the different events in 30 years, we've had 500,000 people ride that boat, and it's like there aren't even 500,000 people in Lansing. And so, I mean, you think about all the people we've brought in from outside the community, and the next 30 years, I could take another 500,000 people for boat rides on that. That'll be
yeah,
quite something.
yeah. I think it was. I can't remember the Yankee Doodle Days or something. Do you put that in the island at Grand Ledge and? Uh,
So, we've been coming to Grand Ledge since 79 or 82, 79, I think. One of the community organizers asked us to bring our first boat, the Spirit of Lansing, from Lansing into Grand Ledge for a fall festival. And, Lansing's all developed and there's some greenery along the river, but it's primarily cityscape. And the same thing with Detroit. It's funny because in Detroit, we do a lot more people, passenger count wise, but you hit Labor Day and it's like, okay, summer's over. We're going back to stuff. And in Lansing, you hit Labor Day and the season just keeps picking up when we do these fall color tours. And it's just more scenic. There's more greenery, and Grand Ledge is second to none. There's 7 different islands to cruise in and around. You go under the railroad trestle that's 100 years old and past the ledges. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous out there.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I've been on that ride before too. So,
yep.
what what do you like? How do people book an event, or how do people know when they can just? Do you have to be associated with an event to go on the boat, or do you
I
do
guess
both?
I should have followed that up. So in Grand Ledge, we have the Grand Princess for Grand Ledge, and it's generally we're there for the different festivals. Yankee Doodle Days is usually in a couple weeks before the 4th, and then there's Island Art Fair in August. It's usually like the first Saturday, and then Color Cruise Fall Festival is the second weekend of October, and that's been doing 30 years now out there. So, or 40 years out there. So you can usually just show up and we'll be there, and you can buy your tickets right when you get on the boat in Grand Ledge. The Michigan Princess, we do a little more, and that's more of just like a toury boat ride, and we'll usually have somebody just doing some entertainment. It's more of like a 45-minute just boat ride down and back. And the Michigan Princess is more of like a evening out type thing. We say our business consists of 3 things: the boat ride, the entertainment, and the food. And this year we added the COVID safety to that, but safety in general. And we were always doing safety, and now it's a forefront thing. You had to have all of the safety stuff before, but now people are suddenly aware of it. They want to know that it's there rather than it having to do it because it's the right thing. Now people, it's a selling point, and
Yeah,
that's a big change for us this last year. But anyway, you if you want to come on the Michigan Princess, because it's an event, you go online to our website, michiganprincess.com or detroitprincess.com or one of the boats, and you can reserve your tickets right from the website online, and that will tell you what the boat, all the specifics, when the boat leaves, when it comes back, what the entertainment is for the evening, and what the meal is. And that's the meal and the entertainment really changed the price a bit. So we do a murder mystery dinner theater that's like a 3-course meal with carved prime rib and everything, and it's a interactive murder mystery, like Clue, Who Done It type thing. Person dies, and then you put together all the clues and put the whole story together.
Yeah,
So that one's
I
a little bit. Sorry, my
no,
daughter just walked in here. I've
it's
got
okay.
a little 6-month-old, but
What? We love 6-month-olds, so
here.
she can't possibly interrupt us.
Oh, say hi to
Oh,
everybody, honey.
hi, beautiful. Hi.
So this has been the best 6 months of my life. Between being closed and being able to spend time with family and be home, this has been great, but reopening has been just about impossible. It's one thing to add another thing to juggle into the thing, but it's an entirely different thing to restart and juggle. And but we're making it happen. I can't do it without family. So
Yeah, we had our first kind of bigger event a couple days ago, and man, the energy of the crowd. I mean, the Roaring Twenties are upon us. I think
that's what I've heard.
Yeah, the energy was so high, and people were so excited. It felt good. So beautiful daughter. Can I ask her name? I don't.
Oh yeah,
know the
this
right
is
protocol.
no, it is Lucy Irene Chamberlain. She's the next generation. Maybe she'll be driving a boat here one of these days. I don't know, but
Nice.
Yeah.
So, thanks for the information on how people can book.
Yeah.
I wanted to do like a folk funk concert on one of your boats once, and I was planning it with this guy in a band, and then him and I got in an argument, and he won't talk to me anymore. But I would always wanted to see if there was like a cool concert we could do on one of your boats. So
absolutely. I got kind of sidetracked here, but we do other events. We got the Root Doctor coming up in July on the boat. Dawn Haddad has run our 80s themed nights for a long time. She goes back to almost the beginning with us, to over 25 years. She's known me since I was about that big, but and then we do private events too. Whether you want to just have a wedding on one of the boats, or a class reunion, or a retirement party. We actually had a memorial party for lunch today. So we do all kinds of stuff for the private events. You can fill out one of the contact forms right on the website, or call our office. That's 517-627-2154. But you name it, I've probably done it on the boat.
what would you say your mission is?
So the ferry boat I added this last year, which runs in Little Traverse Bay between Petoskey, Harbor Springs, and Bay Harbor. And I did that as a nonprofit because frankly, it wasn't going to make enough money. And we've had a lot of support. In the very first trip out there, I had an 80-year-old lady come out, and she said, I haven't been able to go out for a boat ride in close to 20 or 30 years. My family all moved away. I don't know anybody with a boat, and this just made my day, and I will absolutely be back. And the fact, that we're offering that service back to the community, and yeah, there's some costs associated with it. If I could take everybody for a free boat ride, I would, but to offer that to the community when it just isn't available, and I'm a Rotarian. Giving back is important, and just being able to offer service that isn't available to other people or otherwise in this community is so important. And it goes hand in hand with, conservationism and taking care of the environment. I mean, the water quality is night and day difference from when I was a kid. I think I have an actual mission statement written down somewhere.
No, that's okay.
It's kind of becomes self-evident as soon as you get on the boat, and it all seems to make sense.
See, I think it's super important to have people like you in Michigan with all of the, 20% of the world's fresh water is around us here. And I don't think we're always good stewards, selling it to Nestle or putting pipelines or whatever. And, you kind of have to be a good steward. Your livelihood is on that river. and I'm glad you're around.
You know, we are doing the right things and we are making progress, and you can't cut off business in the process. You know, that there's always well, let's take the dam out of the river because it's better for the fish. Well, great, then you let the water out of the river in Grand Ledge. You can't canoe through there. It is so shallow. I promise you. I tried when they were doing repair work, and so you have to strike this balance between the two. I mean, what's good for everybody, not just the environment, and but also how do we take care of the environment at the same time. When I was a kid, people would ride the boat and comment how bad the river smelled. Well, they've done the storm sewer separation, and the study says the river's 400% cleaner than it was a decade ago. And I will swear by that all day. And that is good for business and it's good for the environment. And I think we need to follow those common sense, like, this is good for everybody. Why aren't we doing this? And it's good for the environment. Yeah. And I know there's always the one thing or another, not in my backyard. But I mean, we are moving in that direction, and a lot of people don't pay the most close attention to our water resources, but there are people out there that are advocating for it, and it's getting better every day.
See, I go back to what you said about, the little tweaks that you have to do, the creation versus those, incremental improvements or that innovation. And I think an entrepreneur, someone like you, is the perfect person to be out there protecting it, but on both the commerce side and the environmental side.
Well, and that's just it, man. Public-private partnerships, and you don't quite get it until you do one. And it has been this whole nonprofit that I've worked on up north, and then watching how a number of these P3s have come together in the Lansing area, and it's just like, hey, if that's what it's got to take to get these things done, it's probably better, because you get both sides to the table and everybody gets what they want out of the deal. And that's what we really want. Not everybody's happy with the negotiation, but if you could get the job done, that's a win. So,
yeah. So, is it okay if I say that D word in front of her? What's something you do every dang day to push your mission forward?
Oh, I think every day, I think I have to take a moment and just de-stress and look back at, like, where was I this same day a year ago or 5 years ago, and remind myself, it's so easy to get caught up in like this, that you miss the bigger picture. And it can really be refreshing and rejuvenating. It keeps you motivated, so you don't get ground down. If you don't take care of, as I've pushed forward, it becomes more and more important to take care of yourself. The bigger you get. Okay, someone's gonna take you. But
is Lucy your first?
She is. So we're trying to figure this all out. We're kind of making it up as we go this year. But
now that's a whole completely new dynamic, because
that self-care thing, when now you start taking care of a kid and you add that in. I mean, it is. I took up running. I ran my first half marathon 2 years ago now, and the stress management is key, and it puts everything into perspective. So
and Lucy is beautiful, by the way, and I didn't mind anything about her being on the screen, no matter what noises she wants to make. I love kids, though. I mean, I got this huge smile on my face now. We daisy chain these shows together, and yesterday we had Patrick Anderson from the Anderson Economic Group, and his question to you, which I don't understand, but maybe you're going to explain it to me, is why would you go upstream before you go downstream?
Well, you ever been canoeing and lost your paddle?
You know what?
You don't go up the creek, you don't go down the creek without a paddle. You go up the creek, so when you don't have a paddle, you can float back down the creek, man. But it's a
Well,
lot easier to go with the current than it is to go against it. And the other thing too is it's relaxing to float back down rather than fighting your way back the whole way.
I got it as soon as I said it out loud, the way you rearranged it, because he said it backwards yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what he was saying, but as soon as I said it out loud to you, I was like, oh shit, I just used this analogy earlier. Sorry, she can still.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't want to be disrespectful to you two, the parents. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense now. So tomorrow on the show, I've got Sherry Pruitt. She has lost her son to gun violence several years ago, and we're going to talk about her son's Slick and what we can do as a community to try to help. And what question would you like to ask her? Yeah.
That is a terrible thing that has happened, but as you move forward in life and everything, you got to ask yourself, what are you doing to get outside of your comfort zone in the last year?
Yeah.
Maybe not every day, but you got to keep pushing yourself.
Yeah, I feel like we're in a crisis in Lansing. We're in a crisis actually in the entire nation with gun violence right now.
Mm-hmm.
And people like her, they're motivating for one thing, because you'd never want that to happen to, yourself or your child or whatever. So I think that is a great question. So thank you for that. And I flip it on you. So what do you do to get out of your comfort zone?
I say no. I have a tendency to take entirely too much on, and it's uncomfortable for me to turn stuff down. I know that may sound stupid, but like, it's hard for me to not take stuff on.
I did not expect that answer, but it is such an insightful answer. It goes back, to your boundaries thing too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I say no. Good answer. Happiness, sadness, joy, or hope. Which word would you like to choose? And then I'm going to ask you what gives you hope. And I bet
hope.
It starts with an L.
Hope. It's my little daughter Lucy gives me all the hope and joy and happiness of the world, but hope for the future. And it was pretty dark for me 6 months ago. I mean, it was a really, really hard winter. And we're getting reopened. We've got 3 of the 4 boats open right now. And I'm feeling so hopeful right now for the next 30 years for this business. So
yeah, that's amazing. I didn't like going through COVID either. And we were super strict because of all the food we were distributing and things like that. And man, when this started getting lifted, I am so relieved, so relieved. And, my livelihood, I could keep it going even with the restrictions. But when your whole thing is shut down, then
I can't run a boat with 25 people on it, man. I just lose money faster.
Yeah. So, well, I'm glad we're out of it. And I'm so happy that we got to talk to you. And I can't stress enough to anybody who listens to this today or whenever you're going to listen to it, that these boats around our area that are run by the yeah, now I keep thinking Detroit Princess, but the Michigan Princess Riverboat stuff. You got to get on it if you haven't done it. You are a gem of our community, and more people need to get out there and support you, because I would hate to lose that. We can lose a small restaurant here and there and it'll come right back, but doing what you're doing would not come back easily. So
well, thank you. That means a lot. It's taken a lot to get it all going. I mean, it's taken a whole generation to get to where we are. And give me my whole generation, and who knows what's next. So.
yeah. So I think we all now want Lucy to be a captain. So we've got to come support you so we can see that happen, right?
There you go. That's the best ticket right there.
What would you like to take us out with?
I don't know. I think I'm so all over the place these days that I haven't really, it's just keep pushing. You'll get there. All the small micro and all the entrepreneurs out there, just keep pushing. One day it'll all just come together.
Thank you so much for being part of our community and making us stronger and making us, have so many more options for entertainment and seeing this beautiful nature that we have around us. And thank you so much for sharing Lucy with us.
You bet.
Too. All right.
Thank you.
Every damn day. See you guys tomorrow at 2.